Hi, everyone. I'm Keith Mathis with the Mathis Group. Welcome to 7 Minutes to PMP Mastery. We are a premier ATP with Project Management Institute, and we create these videos a couple each week to be able to help you pass the PMP. Today, we're going to be talking about retrospectives compared to lessons learned. So the PMP exam framing on these topics. So on the PMP exam, the correct answer often depends on this question. So what you're wanting to do is answer it in your head to decide what am I supposed to be answering. So is the team trying to improve immediately in the next cycle, or is the organization trying to capture knowledge for future use? That will make a little bit of a difference on whether it's going to be a retrospective or lessons learned. We would like for them to tell us what type of project it is, but that's not how it works typically on the project or on the PMP test. So a retrospective is most often associated with agile or iterative work. It happens regularly. It's usually at the end of an iteration, a sprint, a phase, or a major work cycle. Its primary purpose is to help the team inspect how they worked and decided what to improve immediately. So retrospective is very similar to lessons learned. The difference is this is agile. But the problem you get into on the test is they don't tell you necessarily what type of project. They will describe something, and then you're having to decide, is it a retrospective or lessons learned? The purpose of a retrospective is not mainly about achieving knowledge, it's about helping the team improve how they work before the next sprint, phase, release, or cycle begins. So one of the phrases that's not in a retrospective is, for an example, a lot of knowledge transfer. Even though some of that's happening, retrospectives focusing on value, it's focusing on speed. The timing of the retrospective. Retrospectives usually occur at the end of the sprint or the iteration, at the end of a project phase, after a release, after a major incident or milestone, and during the project, not only at the end of the project. So you'll hear about the retrospective in the test questions in a variety of sequences, and it would be easy for you, especially when it talks about after a major incident or milestone, to assume that's predictive, but it's not. There's milestones even on the agile side. Some common retrospective questions. So a PMP candidate should recognize these questions and be able to pick out a retrospective. So what went well? What did not go well? What should we start doing? What should we stop doing? What should we continue doing? What blocked the team? What will we improve in the next iteration? So these are some of the common retrospective type questions that come up. So the PMP focus for retrospective is that a good retrospective answer will often include words that have these type of phrases in it. And so this might help you a little bit. So inspect, adapt, improve, next iteration, team process, continuous improvement, facilitate, collaboration, root cause, action item. Now all of these will typically trigger as you read it that, okay, this is probably more retrospective than it is lessons learned, with the exception of continuous improvement. Continuous improvement is being placed into your test at a much more condensed rate, but it's in both. It's on the retrospective as well as the lessons learned. Lessons learned are broader. They capture useful knowledge from project experience, both positive and negative, so that the current and future projects can benefit. PMI describes lessons learned as documented information reflecting both positive and negative project experiences. So even though you have that flavor over on the retrospective side, you're doing it for a 2 or 3 week sprint. On the lessons learned, you're documenting knowledge that will probably be archived and is probably going to be part of your knowledge base. Might be how they frame that. Core purpose of lessons learned is knowledge capture and organizational learning. Lessons learned helps the organization avoid repeating mistakes, helps future project teams benefit from what previous teams discovered. Now you'll notice here they're talking about the organization, not just the team, where retrospective is typically the team because you're trying to deliver as much value as fast as you possibly can to that customer. So timing of the lessons learned can be captured throughout the project, at major milestones, at phase gates, after risk responses, after change requests, during the project closure, and after the final deliverable is accepted. So you see that there's a few of these that are lined up with the same thing as a retrospective. For an example, a milestone. A milestone can happen on a retrospective just like it can for lessons learned. So a traditional project compared to an agile project. So both could have something like that. You'll notice phase gate is here. Phase gate would be something that's new that lets you know that they're talking about a traditional project. And then once again, they talk about the final deliverable here, where once again on the agile side, your deliverables, you're handing stuff off to that customer and you're going to have releases, but they don't typically use the word deliverable, except probably on year one test is where it will pop up. But watch out for those. So the phrasing is going to be a little different in each of these cases. So questions for lessons learned. So a PMP candidate should recognize these type of questions. What did we learn from the project? What should future projects repeat? What should future projects avoid? What risk occurred that were not anticipated? Which responses work well? What caused major delays or cost issues? What should be updated in the organization's templates, processes, or standards? What should be added to the organizational knowledge base? So when they talk about knowledge base, they are almost always talking about the lessons learned, not agile. So that's a key word and a key place for you to help you a little bit. So the focus also, a good lessons learned answer will often include words such as document, archive, repository, historical information, organizational process assets, knowledge transfer, future projects, closure, update records, lessons learned. You feel the formality of some of this phraseology here, and that typically is going to be more on the predictive side. All right, so as I close out, let me mention to you that we do PMP boot camps every other month virtually. And so we have people from all over the world sign in for this. We'd love to have you in a boot camp. Just get on our site and see when the next one's coming up. And I'll see you in another video, okay? Bye, everybody.